Welcome to Two Guys from Rejoice. I'm Adam.
I'm Steve. Good to be with you this week.
As we move into kind of some holiday stuff, right? We've gone through Thanksgiving into Christmas.
So you got your plans ready for Christmas?
I think so.
So you know everything you're doing?
Yeah, assuming that FedEx and UPS follow through, right? They don't leave me hanging. I think I'm good to go.
Good. So
You?
Yeah, we're going to kind of be around here and candlelight service and then some time at home. That's always, I love it, man. It's a great day.
Me
Really
too.
good. Enjoy it a lot.
One of my favorites. As we talk about moving into Christmas and the candlelight service, and we kind of work our way through all the expectations that led into that night that Jesus was born. A couple of groups, sometimes we misinterpret the way what their role
Pretty
was.
misunderstood. Yeah.
One of them is the shepherds.
Yeah. These guys were, they were just flat out ignored by society. There's a group of people in Spain. They're called Gitanos, and they kind of live by themselves. I mean, in their groups together, their customs are different. The way they go around, they're usually considered dishonest, and they're not very clean and all that sort of thing. And so Spaniards, by and large, it's not that they don't like them; they just ignore them. And that's where these shepherds were.
It's kind of like the gypsy caravans.
That's exactly
coming through Europe, and that's the way the shepherds were, right? We would identify that group probably as Bedouins today. They were nomads. They followed their.
Did you see any Bedouin tribes when you were in the Holy Land?
No, really didn't.
Yeah, because they're not really just.
They're not.
They don't look to be around people.
And so they were really outside of what the normal mainstream society, right? So as far as the census that was going on there, because they weren't part of the census, the Jewish traditions and customs, they weren't part of that either. They were really kind of their own society.
It's possible that they had never stepped a foot inside Bethlehem until that night, because they weren't welcome there. People didn't want them.
One of the things that it always struck me right at the end, right? We don't know what happens after that night.
Right, yeah. Where do they go?
The only indication that we have is they went on their way and they told everyone they met about this thing that had been told to them.
Think about
what they'd seen and what they'd heard.
They are the first preachers of the gospel.
Really the first missionaries.
First ones, yeah, because they're going everywhere telling people.
And they're mobile, right? So they're going from community to community, right? Traveling across the desert, right?
Well, think about these guys. They don't have anything to do with anybody.
Right.
Until that night, and they see the Messiah.
Now they've got a message.
And they're telling everybody about what they've seen.
And I wonder how many times we fall short of that, right? Yeah. We've got the best message that there ever was, right? Yeah. The keystone of history, and yet we're afraid that somebody's going to not accept it, or that we're going to be embarrassed.
Yeah. Now, I think the problem is we just don't really get it. We don't really understand how important a moment that was.
Yeah.
Because if we did, I think then we're going to be like them. Man, wherever I go, whatever I'm telling about, look what God did. Look what He's done in my life. And we've got a story to tell.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good news, and you got to share it.
Well, and about that same time, right, sometime shortly after that, we've got a star, right, that appears, and you've got religious, kind of astrological teachers, priests, philosophers, advisors to the king that are in a different area, right? What we would call the Magi. Now, there's a little bit of a misperception that they showed up that night because there's like a star in the sky over top of a manger.
You've got Mary and Joseph, the baby, the shepherds over this side, and the wise men over, and that didn't happen.
It didn't happen that way. Right? But at the same time, now we've got folks that are the advisors of kings, probably related to the exile, right? Yeah. Whenever Daniel was part of the exile, who told them about the promise of the Messiah, who taught that becomes part of their mythology, if you will, that they are responsible for keeping track of.
And they studied Isaiah. Where a virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and you will call him Emmanuel. They knew that. Right. And so they knew the basics about what was going to happen. And so they were looking for this Messiah.
More so than the people that, the Jewish people who had the original tradition, right? Yeah. Who had the writings, who that revelation had come to.
Right.
They were more prepared. They were more ready than what the people that should have been experts.
What do you suppose happened to those guys after they came to Mary and Joseph, left their gifts? By the way, we always have this picture of three because there's three gifts. Could have been 150. We don't know.
Right. It's very likely that it would have been 3 guys on camels coming across the desert, right?
Yeah.
For a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
Number one, travel wasn't safe.
Yeah.
Number two, these were the advisors of the king, right? They would have had an
They had
entourage.
substance. Yeah.
It would have, one of the examples that I've been given is if you've seen Aladdin, right, where Prince Ali comes in with the elephants and the trumpet, it was probably closer to that than 3 dudes showing up in the middle of the night
Can I
on
sing the
camels.
song? Can I sing this?
Prince Ali?
Yeah. No. Okay.
No, that's not. And so they likely went back, right? Their job as emissaries, right? They were almost like, I'm drawing like more diplomats that come, ambassadors that came from this other kingdom to Jerusalem, to now ultimately Bethlehem, the house.
Which probably explains why they went to Jerusalem first.
Mm-hmm.
To connect with the King Herod there.
Right.
And they didn't know that they didn't know the prophecy about Bethlehem.
Right.
And so they find that out, and then they go to Bethlehem and find Jesus.
Right. And then they go back, right?
Yeah.
Now we've got missionaries in the east
Yeah.
that are going as well. They had maybe a better audience, a bigger audience. I wonder, as the disciples, the persecution in Jerusalem happened and they started to spread, right? We know that some of them went into that area. If that didn't kind of pave the way for those disciples heading in that direction.
Yeah. We don't know. It's supposition. But we do know that their lives were forever changed. Yeah. And that's what Christmas is about. Right. Is about changing us. Once we know, it's not about the story. The story is important because of who it tells us about. Right. The focus is Jesus. It's not the shepherds. It's not the wise men. It's not the star. It's not even Mary and Joseph.
It's not Mary and Joseph. It's not Herod. Right. It's not even really the Jewish people. Right. This is the fulfillment of God's plan. All of history up to that point has built to this moment. Yeah. And all of history moving forward is changed by that moment. Yeah. So this year, as you contemplate Jesus, you contemplate the birth of the Savior, take a moment and examine how that changes your life. Yeah. How that changes the way that you interact with folks. Because that's ultimately the reason for the season.
Amen. That's right. That's right. Take care. Have a good week.